Hi, this is Lori Jacobs from Jacobs Homestead, and also I am a student at the American College of Healthcare Sciences. And today we're going to talk to you about emergency kits, or first aid kits, whichever you would prefer to call it. I know a lot of you that will be watching will be some students and my professor from the American College of Healthcare Sciences, because I'm doing this as an assignment. But I also know, because this is my homesteading YouTube channel, that there'll be lots of homesteaders. And one of the main reasons I went to school for holistic medicine was so that I can learn to be prepared and be more self-sufficient. So if you're a prepper or a homesteader or just someone who's into natural health, these are going to be some of the tips that I give that I use personally. And I went through this because these are some of the situations I went through. So okay, so we're going to go over this, and I'll start. I'm going to be reading off my computer because it's a long list, and I don't want to miss anything. So I'll read each section, and then I'll show you, speak to you a little bit about it. Okay, so the first, I have the wrong glasses on for this. Let me switch my eyeglasses, and I'll be right back. Okay, sorry. And that's another thing you could put on your list is eyeglasses. If you go to the dollar store, you can get a bunch of these different size lenses for reading, because if there's an emergency, God forbid, or disaster, look at California, the fires they've had and the floods they've had. It's nice to know you have extra pair of glasses. So I've learned, even if you have a prescription, have an extra couple of pairs around. Keep some of these different sizes. You can go to the Dollar Tree and get them for $1 a piece, and get different lenses, because in an emergency, glasses is an important thing. Okay, so it's a good thing I had to switch this way. I could say, okay, I'm sorry you got the glare of my computer on my eyeglasses, but anyways, this is one of the first things I would have in my kit, especially as a Christian, is a Bible. That's number one, because times are hard, something goes wrong, you want the Word of God. You want to make sure you're reaching out to God, and God is number one at giving you direction. He's given me direction and a lot of the things that I have learned what to do, and this is why I believe He's a big part of why I went away to school. Well, not go away, but why I started school, because I was so fascinated at the things He was teaching me. Okay, so that would be number one. Let's see. The next one would be Apis 30C. Okay, and this is for bee stings, rashes, swelling, and hives. Okay, so these, if you want to write this down, I'll try to go a little slower. Maybe I'll put the list. It's a long list, so you want to write it and take notes as I'm doing this, because it's very long. It's like 4 or 5 pages just in my assignment. Okay, so Apis 30C, and that is for bee stings and rashes, swelling, and hives. So you can save this video and go refer to it later and write a list of it. Next is Arnica 30C. Okay, that is used for emotional shock and trauma. If somebody is having a stroke or something serious happened, you can give them that. Put a little bit under their tongue or in their mouth if they're not unconscious. Okay, and that's what Arnica tincture. Okay, can be used externally for bruises, sprains, and trauma. Okay, these are all things you can buy. You don't have to have a prescription for. Okay. Then there is calendula. Calendula is an herb, and it's called Calendula officinalis, and it's a tincture, and it's an antiseptic for healing wounds. Okay, all right. Next is clove. Okay, Clove Essential Oil. Everybody, most people know it's for toothache pain. Toothache pain, and it's also for nausea and vomiting. If you get sick, you can put a couple of drops in some warm water and stomach sick, and you can take that clove. But I also noticed in the Tiger Balm that I use, they use clove oil in that too, because clove is numbing. It's for pain too. That's why it works so well on your gums and teeth. All right. Next, there's Comfrey. Okay, Comfrey ointment. You can apply that topically for wounds, sprains, bruises, and fractures. Comfrey does tend to heal quickly, so you make sure you do not. Oh, calendula does. Calendula heals quickly, so make sure you do not have any kind of infection. Clean the infection out before you put any kind of calendula on a wound. Okay. Then you have Hypericum. I can't even pronounce this. I'm in school for this. Hypericum 30C and Hypericum tincture. And this is good for nerve pain, torn nails, sciatica, and cuts. This is made from St. John's wort. Okay. The tincture is used topically for wounds that are infected with tooth extractions. You can mix it with water. Okay. And there are other herbs you can use in place of some of these if you don't have them. That's why I recommend everyone should at least have a book on herbs and what they're used for and their health benefits. If you can't afford to buy one, go to a library and find one that you really like. And then when you do find it that you like, you can go to eBay or Amazon and see if you can find one used. You know, sometimes thrift stores you might. Okay, the next one is Ledum 30C. And this is used for deep bruising, punctured wounds, and insect stings. It is also effective for pain from fractures or joints. Okay. Then we have the wonderful lavender oil, Lavandula angustifolia. Remember, there's different types of lavender, so you want to get the right one because there's lavandin, and that's more for fragrance, but not for that will not make you relaxed and calm. But the Lavandula angustifolia is the one you want, and that's calming the nerves. It's used for burns and wounds. You can use it for headaches, all kinds of things. You can put them in a diffuser, you know. Or a roll-on olive with some oil like almond oil or avocado oil, olive oil. I buy the little roll-ons. You can go online and look for them, and you put a little bit of that oil, lavender oil or chamomile oil, and you put it in a roll-on. And if somebody's really, I was so upset one time a couple of years ago, and I was so sick I was almost ready to faint. And my daughter, I was so sick I was upset about something. And my daughter, thank God, she listens to me, my oldest daughter, and she remembered I had the little bottle of roll-on of chamomile oil that I used for my grandkids when they were teething to help them. She put that on my arm, and it calmed me, right? I couldn't believe how well it works. So it's really good to have. You know, if you have the essential oils, they're not really recommended to be used straight. I know a lot of people do all these oils and stuff, but if you really study it, they're not safe to be used straight. You have to have them mixed with a carrier oil or with water if you're using it as something to drink. But anyways, we'll get on to the next thing. Bach Rescue Remedy. And this is also used for shock of any kind, panic, and unconsciousness. The cream can be used for cuts, bites, and stings. Okay. Then you have Symphytum. Oh my gosh. Symphytum 30C. And this is made from Comfrey and is used for black eyes, bruising, bone fractures, and ligament issues. Okay, I don't know if I'm pronouncing all these right. You know. Anyways, and then there's, I'm going to get to the more normal stuff in a few minutes. Sorry about that. These are the ones that I can't really pronounce. Those are more for like to purchase. You know, you'd have to purchase that item. Then there'll be other things that you can make yourself with herbs and different things. But then there's Urtica urens 30C, and that's used for burns, stinging, sunburns, and sting allergies. It's made from common nettle, okay? So, in some of these you might be able to look up recipes, I mean, for different things and make it yourself. And then you have vitamin E cream, which is used for healing wounds and cuts and to help prevent scarring. Okay. My computer has been wanting to stop and do a shutdown on me just to do a, what do you call this? You know, when they update it and whatever. So not now, not in the middle of this. Okay. Now, this is what I use for my personal first aid kit. I like to keep these items that I know work great. And I like to keep it pretty simple, but I like the stuff that I know works. Okay, number 1, Tiger Balm. Okay, Tiger Balm Salve. I'm going to stop for a minute so I can put the picture up and you can see it. Okay, now the Tiger Balm Salve is excellent for any type of pain in muscle joints. When I damaged my knee a few years ago, I was in so much pain I couldn't walk or anything, and a friend of mine gave me one of those electric shock things for your knee to get rid of pain. That didn't even work. The Tiger Balm worked. When I put that on my knee, my gosh, it was so relieving of the pain, you wouldn't believe. It's really good, and it says it's the original oils that they used to use in the way back in Bible days in the temples for pain and stuff. So it's really good. I recommend it. This Tiger Balm with extra strength. If you have any kind of joint pain, it works good. Just keep it away from your eyes and stuff, because it has cajeput in it and different other herbs, but it really works good for pain. Then there's, and I know it's simple and it's not all natural, but it does work in an emergency. Hall's Eucalyptus Cough Drops. I don't have asthma really anymore, but once in a while if I have trouble breathing, that really opens up, because the eucalyptus oil will actually open up the bronchial tubes so you can breathe. And so you can either use the oil to inhale it, but I keep the cough drops on me in my pocket, because in an emergency, if I can't breathe, or I know somebody that can't breathe, they can take that, and that really helps. It'll open up so they can breathe enough to get to, like, you know, if it's a serious situation where they have to go to emergency room, but it'll help a lot. It will really help a lot. So, and you can get those in sugar-free too if somebody's diabetic. But those are really good to have on hand. And I'm not talking for the cough. I'm talking for breathing. You know, if somebody's really struggling to breathe, they work. I can guarantee it for myself, okay? Next is Eucalyptus Essential Oil. And like I said before, this is what they use. You can actually just keep a small bottle around and just breathe it in and hold it in like you would if you had an asthma spray. If you have asthma and you can't get it and it's not available for you, you can use that in an emergency. Okay. Then there is, I call it my famous Yarrow Immune Support Tea. I make it every year, a big batch of it, and it is amazing. It works for everything from toothaches, fevers, strep throat. I mean, you name it. Whatever the kids start to get something, I give them that and it goes away. It works really good. And what I do is I mix Yarrow Tea, and you can, if you get the book, My Backyard Pharmacy, or you look up pictures of the herb and do an herb walk, you'll know how to identify it, because it usually grows everywhere in most people's yards. And it's the best medicine, natural medicine. And I mix it with yarrow, I mix it with chamomile, and I mix it with spearmint, because spearmint is loaded, I'm telling you, loaded in so many vitamins, okay? So if somebody's sick, okay, first of all, they can't sleep well, so that's what you put the chamomile in there for. Then you put the yarrow in there because that helps with their immune system, okay? And it's an antibiotic, antiviral, antiseptic, and all that. And then the chamomile will help them sleep, because when they're sick, they need to sleep. When your body sleeps, it rests, and that's when your body heals best. So the spearmint is for the vitamins, because first of all, they're vitamin deficient if they're getting sick in the first place, so they need that boost of vitamins. Just an immune booster by itself, I don't think, is really handling the problem, because there is a problem in the first place because they're not getting the vitamins. So the spearmint gives them the vitamins that they need, because they're probably not eating well when they get a fever or they're sick. The chamomile will help them sleep, excuse me, and the yarrow will work and get them feeling better and fight the infection. Okay, then the next thing I have is chamomile tea and the essential oil. This is great for calming. It's great for teething babies. It's also safe for younger children. It has natural antibacterial and anti-inflammatory effects. So it's really good. Like, it's a safer tea for children, and it will get, like if they have a fever or anything like that, helps them sleep. It's also helps get rid of the infection. And if it's a young child, like an infant or that, I would, like my daughter-in-law, when my grandkids were sick, when they were like, I think 5-6 months old, you can just give them, like, you don't have to put a whole tea. You just put a couple of tablespoons or teaspoons mixed with some warm water or juice and get it into them. That way you can use it in an oil, like in a little salve, or in a, make a salve, or you can put some in with a carrier oil, like I said, in that little roll-on bottle, and you can put that on their arm or on their feet, and that'll help fight the infection. So that's really good to have. And then there's and I'm not advertising for anybody, believe me. these are things that I just really stand by. Then Stash makes a Licorice Spice Tea. Okay, it's the best tea. It don't taste like licorice really, but it's so good. And that year, there was a couple of years ago, everybody was getting strep throat, was going around, and my kids, none of us got it because we had that. We drank that tea, and it's also for coughs, and I guess they used it in the old days. Because see, this natural medicine that we do, the herbs and all, if you go back 100 years, okay, this is the medicine they used, okay. My grandfather, not my great-grandfather, my grandfather was a pharmacist back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And this is the stuff they used back then. And then they came out in the 1930s, all this synthetic stuff. But this is what they used for medicines. So this is not something new. It's something they had for years, but they can't patent it and they can't make money on it. So whatever. Plus it grows mostly everywhere, so you can get it anywhere. In your yard or in a field. But just if you gather it, watch other videos. If you're gathering it, don't get it near roadsides. Don't get it where there's, you know, a lot of exhaust, and or it could be sprayed or something like that, because it can be toxic if somebody sprays a field with, because they try to kill the weeds and they don't realize the weeds is our medicine, you know. Anyways, okay. So I also store many various herbs, and I grow many herbs, and I think it's a good idea if you're a homesteader to get an herb garden. Get as many herbs as you can grow, because that's your medicine. You might get to a point where you can't get those, so it's better to grow them so you'll have them. So I make lots of herbs for teas, tinctures, and salves. And it's a good idea also to have like different carrier oils, maybe some coconut oil, or what's the other one? Avocado oil, some beeswax, so you can make some salves, get some recipes, learn, go online, keep your, learn some things. The Back to Basics book does have some recipes in there for salves and different things and shampoos. But anyways, the next one, it's going to sound weird, especially coming from a Christian and my husband's a pastor, but vodka. And that's not for drinking. But if you have to make tinctures, that's how you have to make them. You make them with vodka. You put it in jars. I have some videos on there on how to make a tincture, chaga tinctures. Look them up. They're not on the homesteading YouTube channel, but they're on my other, under Lori Jacobs. If you look it up, you'll find them somewhere. But I do have my other channels on my list. If you subscribe to my channel and you go on the, what do you call it? On my channel page, you'll see on the right the different channels that I have, and it's in there, how to make a tincture. And I'll be putting some other videos out after I get done with school. I've been so busy, I don't have time to make too many videos, but this is important to school because I'm learning a lot of things to help my family and others. And that's what I want to do, share it on YouTube so I can help others that maybe don't have it to go. But anyways, so that's what you need your vodka for making tinctures. And sometimes they use brandy, but some tinctures you have to have, like vodka. Next, I have chaga tea, okay, and chaga tincture. Chaga, if you live in the north, you might be able to find some. I'll post some pictures in between when I'm talking. The chaga looks just like a burnt piece of coal on a birch tree, and it's a very medicinal. And you can make they call it chaga coffee or chaga tea. It's a mushroom, considered a mushroom. And if you make a tincture with that, and then, because some people can't drink the tea, some people can't. They won't, I should say. I like the tea, I don't take the tinctures, but some people can't, and the tincture's easier for them. They can just put it under their tongue or in some hot water and get rid of the alcohol in it that way. You only use a little bit. But anyways, those are on other videos. You can check them out. Because chaga is very good. It destroys cancer cells, and it's also anti-inflammatory, and it reduces joint pain. It's so good for you. You have to look up all the information, and it's on the video. I have more information about it, but anyways, it works really good. And then I keep supplements. The more I study this, the more I'm finding out you don't get sick if you just would actually eat right and take your vitamins. Like vitamin D, it's wintertime. We live in Maine. You got to have vitamin D. They call it cabin fever. They call it whatever they want to call it. It's vitamin D deficiency. Okay. Most heart attacks happen in the winter because they're vitamin D deficient. Also, if a woman cannot get pregnant, Yale did a study years ago, and every single woman that could not get pregnant was vitamin D deficient or had very low vitamin D. And one of these girls I watched a video on, she couldn't have kids, excuse me, and she said she found out about that test thing in Yale, and she started taking the vitamin D. Her doctor, she switched her doctor to a naturopathic doctor. They put her on high doses of vitamin D, and after a while, she ended up having kids. So, because that's a hormonal, and that makes a big difference. But anyways, vitamin D is so good for you. They did a study in New York, Cancer Center, and I was surprised they actually put the video on YouTube of this meeting, and all the patients that had cancer were vitamin D deficient, every one of them, okay, and very low vitamin D. So they decided to up everybody's vitamin D. Well, they upped everybody's vitamin D, and the ones that had did not take chemo, okay, their tumors were shrinking and they were getting better. The ones that took the chemo, it didn't do anything to them because the chemo destroys your immune system, so it stops it, so it's not really good for you. But anyways, vitamin D, also when your vitamin D is low, you can have a heart attack. That's why most heart attacks happen in the winter. Most people get sick in the winter because your vitamin D is your immune system. It's a big part of helping your immune system. So we stand by vitamin D. In the wintertime, I take between 10 and 20,000 units a day. Okay. All right. Then next is fish oil supplements with omega-3. This is for brain health, heart health, and will keep the blood thinner naturally without the use of aspirin. Aspirin, they say take an aspirin a day to help thin your blood, but you know what? If you get in a disaster and something happens and you have to go cold turkey off that aspirin, that you can die from that. It's very serious. So the fish oil can do the same thing naturally without that issue, you know. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but you know, it can happen. It's not good. You can have some serious issues with the aspirin. So personally, I wouldn't use it. Any kind of fish oil, even, you don't have to take it every day, but maybe every other day or at least twice a week just to get your body in health. But the best thing to do is eat right and eat healthy. Okay, vitamin C. Vitamin C is to prevent colds and flu and also prevents scurvy and helps fight cancer. Okay, so, and vitamin C can be in the tablet form. Choco Tea is loaded in vitamin C. Birch, well, I haven't gotten to that yet, but the birch trees, the bark is really good too to make a tea. Okay, various, let me see, I went too far up. Various vitamin patches for adults and children. I'll post the pictures. Patch MD, I order them from, and they're really good because one of my other daughters, she got really sick and she couldn't eat. She came home for the week. She was living down Southern Way after she just got out of college, and she was living on her own. She got so sick it scared me, so I put the patches on her. So if somebody's that sick that they can't eat, and get that nutrition in them, you can at least put the patches on them so they don't get so bad. And with the little kids, the children, they have a children's patch, and you can cut them in half for a toddler. And that's what my daughter-in-law does. Instead of giving them the whole one because she doesn't trust it, she just cuts it in half and gives her the two of them, a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, half each, and it works pretty good. Let's see, what else? So, and they have vitamin D patches, because sometimes, my son, he likes the patches to take to school. I just make him put it on, because sometimes you don't want to take a vitamin when you first get up in the morning. It makes your stomach sick or whatever. And then as the day goes, you might forget. So the patches are nice and quick. You put them on, and they work really good. And so I think I like them anyways. And they're really good for an emergency if somebody's really sick or elderly. I mean, my daughter's, my oldest daughter, my oldest kids, their father had cancer and he couldn't eat. And the doctors finally ended up letting him use the patches, and he was getting better till something else happened at the convalescent home that wasn't very nice. That's another story I don't want to get into in public. But But he was getting better, and they even have fish oil patches. They have vitamin D, the regular supplements, all kinds of patches under Patch MD. Let's see. I don't know of any other companies that do that. I know there's a weight loss company called Thrive Life, and they have patches, but they're different. Anyways, okay, and then iron supplements. Iron supplements. This is handy to have in case of an anemia, edema, and loss of circulation due to lack of red blood cells. Okay, so I found out that the same symptoms that can cause heart problems is the same symptoms that cause anemia. So if you take care of the anemia, because if you're anemic, you're not getting circulation, and that can cause damage, like edema. My feet used to swell all the time, and then I started taking iron because I'm like, oh, since I went through menopause, I stopped taking my iron pills because I thought I didn't need them. And I was having all those symptoms, and it was really scaring me. And then I said, you know what? Every time I started to feel all that energy was when I took the parsley capsules, which I found out was loaded in iron. And when I made molasses, it's molasses candy, but it's made with baking soda. What do they call it? It's not regular candy. It's like a sponge, honeycomb, like a honeycomb candy, but it's with molasses. And molasses was loaded in iron. And then I realized, and I prayed about it, and then the Lord showed me that it was my iron. So I started buying the iron capsules again, except the furous gluconate and the natural ones. And I felt better. And my feet stopped swelling, and my circulation was better because my fingers were getting numb sometimes. And I found out that took care of it. So you could be anemic. If you have edema and you have any issues like that, have your iron checked. You know, I mean, you should check with a doctor and make sure. But I knew I was anemic years ago, and I said, oh, I'll just take one and try it, and it worked. So I don't take them every day now because me and my husband started the keto diet, and I have energy, so I've been slacking off on my vitamins. I take them once every 3 or 4 days. I don't take them every day like I used to because I feel better. But anyways, that's another story. Okay, next one. I hope this video is not going to be too long. I'm sorry. Eucalyptus Natural Sap. Okay, this is an important list of stuff. So if you want to know it, watch half the video today. Watch the other half tomorrow if it's too long. Eucalyptus Natural Sap. This can be used on your chest to help with breathing at night if you have a cold, or you can put it on your feet and it'll get rid of a cough. I don't recommend like a Vicks because that's made with petroleum jelly, and that actually inhibits the absorption of vitamins. So it's not really good for you. But if you make your own salve, you can buy a natural type. It's kind of like Vicks, but it's all natural. It's made with natural oils, not petroleum jelly. Okay. Then you have a diffuser. A diffuser is really good to have because in the old days in the hospitals, they used to use that. They used to purify them with eucalyptus oil and stuff, and they used to spray it and get it in the ear. And that will, like, if there's colds going around, like when I had my store, and I used to work in the store, I used to keep it going because people come in sick all the time looking for stuff, and it keeps the air clean. I don't know why the schools don't use it. Well, probably because some kids are allergic or whatever, but it cleans the air in your house. So if somebody's sick or somebody's been over that's been sick, it just keeps the air clean and fresh, helps you breathe, okay? And you can also use it with other oils. So another thing I like to have in my house is honey. Honey is very important because that's a natural antibiotic. It's very good for you in so many ways if you get sick. So honey is very important to have. An Epipen. An Epipen, because you don't know if something happens and you could happen to be allergic, not just to a bee. Maybe you're not allergic to bees, but you might eat something that you're allergic to. Somebody might come over your house that's allergic to something, and it can save a life. So an Epipen, I would say, would be good. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. I ran out of memory. I had to go put half of it on the computer. I know this is kind of long, I'm sorry, but this is all the information that it's important information. So, like I said before, you can just watch half of it if you don't have time to watch the whole thing, and then just keep going back to it and watch the rest of it. But let's see, the last thing I left off was an Epipen, because that's used for allergic reaction, and it's good to have one of those for an emergency. Next is shepherd's purse is a herb, And this can stop internal bleeding in an emergency situation. You can use the tincture or the tea can be used. And I remember when they were talking years ago about some disease that was going around where people were bleeding internally. And I'm like, why don't they use shepherd's purse? I don't understand why. Just because the medical field doesn't know about these things. But there is an herb for internal bleeding that will help. Is the shepherd's purse. So that's good to have on hand. Also, I learned this in an herb identification class that I took a few years back, and the lady said, if you take the burdock seeds and you crush them, okay, you know the burdocks, those things that cling to you all over the place, you take those, form a ball, and then just shake, use a pair of like gloves or something that are heavy duty so you don't get your hands all stuck, and then break them up so the seeds come out of them, and then crush the seeds and make a tea. And she said in that tea you take 1 sip every 5 minutes, because she said it works really fast for blood poisoning, and you can't drink it straight because it's very powerful, but she says you take 1 sip every 5 minutes of that tea, and she said that will help get rid of blood poisoning. If you're in a situation and you start seeing red lines up your arm and there's no hospital around, or you can't get to an emergency room, those are things you can use in an emergency that we should know, that people should know. Like I said, 1 sip of tea every 5 minutes. Make the tea with the seed from the burdock. Okay. Next, clover herbs. Now, clovers you can get everywhere. Just make sure you get them on your own property, not anywhere near roadsides, like I said, or with fields where you don't know if they sprayed. And clover is really good to keep on hand, because if somebody's going through menopause, it's really good. And it's also good for sicknesses and fevers and things like that. And that's a natural herb to keep on hand. If you have a dehydrator, they work really good because they dry them quicker so they don't get brown. So you want them to dry quickly. Let's see, where are we at? Okay, next is Dandelion Tea. I'm going to put a quick picture of what I buy. It's called Dandy Blend, and it's Dandelion Tea, and tastes like coffee. And this is great for detoxing. It's used for it just tastes good. It tastes like coffee, but there's no caffeine in it. So if you're and it also helps keep your blood clean, because it's a detoxer and a blood purifier. It's really good for you. Plus, it's been known to kill cancer cells. So, anyways, next thing. Iodide Sea Salt. Salt is so important. People don't realize that. It's a purifier, and it's very well needed if in an emergency situation. A lot of people don't think of that. And iodine is very important. When I think it was it Japan or whatever, when they had that tsunami and all of those chemical plants and all that radiation leaked out everywhere. They were trying to get iodine because that helps prevent radiation. So if you can keep iodine on hand, that's good to have too. And then, of course, rubbing alcohol. That's useful for so many things, to disinfect scissors, tweezers, any kind of wounds or things like that that you need to disinfect before you use. If you're stuck somewhere out hiking in the woods, or you're somewhere far away and you can't, away from it, like out in a cabin or somewhere where you can't get to any help, you might have to do something yourself, stitch up a wound or something yourself. I don't recommend that, but I mean, if you're in a situation where there is no help, you have to do something, and you need to know that you got to have things like that, alcohol around to disinfect. Peroxide is another one, great use for disinfecting wounds and different things. Bandages of all sizes. People don't think of that, okay? But you need bandages. If somebody gets cut or gets hurt, and you put all this medicine on, but you got to have bandages too. And rubber gloves, sterile rubber gloves if you have, and it doesn't mean you can't get everything all at once, but maybe a little at a time. You make a list and you pick up a few things. You can order them online. Sterile rubber gloves is not exactly something you can find around everywhere, but you'd probably be able to get it on eBay or somewhere. An antibiotic cream or salve, you can make your own, or you can buy some, but that's something that should be kept in your kit. And then I like to keep the diabetic urine test tapes. My mother was diabetic, and she always said, just keep always checking it every once in a while. And if somebody's having symptoms that never had diabetes, or they do have diabetes and you want to check to make sure, and they don't have that thing to prick their finger. At least with the urine test strip, you can tell if, check their urine to see if their sugar's too low or too high. And then they have the ketone urine test tapes. We're on the ketone diet, so we use those. And a stethoscope. You can buy them, at like Rite Aid, Walmart, different stores. A stethoscope is good to have because if somebody's having trouble breathing, you can listen by their back and see if you hear wheezing. You can listen to hear if there's mucus in there. Also, it's good to hear someone's heart. I mean, in an emergency situation, these are things you might need. Look at all the disasters that's been happening all around the United States and the world. There's been a lot of disasters within the last 3 years or more. And earthquakes and fires. And if you don't know if you're going to be able to get help. So these are things you should have. So you can make sure you can take care of yourself if something comes up, or your family or your loved ones or your friends and neighbors. So I suggest a stethoscope is really good. I have one. Blood pressure monitor kit. Okay, you can check your blood pressure in an emergency situation. There's a book I bought. It's called Backyard Pharmacy, and it's an Amish woman wrote it, and I'm sad to say I don't remember her name, but you can find it if you look on Amazon or eBay. Or if you have an Amish store around near you, they might have it. But that was like the first book I ever bought on herbs. And I was so blown away at all the medicines and things that are natural that are right near us. And it's like, as a Christian, Jesus said everything we have is right there. And it's like, your eyes are really open because you don't see it. You're really blind if you're looking at a lawn and you see weeds. And then all of a sudden you learn about medicine and you look at it and you see food, you see medicine. I mean, even in the woods, in the forest, there's so many things you can eat. And if you don't know it, he said, my people perish for lack of knowledge. We need to learn these things. It's our responsibility to learn and to pick up a book or to pick up if you don't have a computer, you don't have you can go to a library and learn these things. You can get the books. You can go and get on the computers down there. There's so many things you can do to educate yourself in this way. Okay, so the books are good. Ashwagandha herb, okay, or capsules. Ashwagandha is really good. You can grow it, or you can buy the capsules. This is great for headaches. It's great for stress. It's anti-inflammatory. It's really good, and I like it. I use that. I don't take ibuprofen or any of that stuff anymore. I take ashwagandha if we get a headache or anything like that. Okay, Peppermint Oil Sap. Okay, that can be used for headache too. My daughter used to make a salve, and because my grandson used to get headaches and migraines from the fluorescent lighting in the school, and you could just put a little bit on, rub it over here on the temples, and it helps your headache go away. Or you can use it for if you got to stay awake. It keeps you awake a little bit. You can even put the peppermint oil on a cotton ball and put it in your car if you're doing a long drive. Instead of drinking a lot of coffee, you can just the vents will make the peppermint oil in the air, and that'll help keep you awake. Next is number 11, Nat Sulfur 6X. I buy that all the time. I was having an asthma attack years ago and I was so scared. My asthma spray didn't work. Nothing worked. I was going to go to the emergency room. I was taking my kids up to Presque Isle to an orthodontist appointment. And I was so scared I could not breathe. And the medicine, the asthma spray did not work. And my kids were hungry. So I went into this little store while I was waiting for them in the doctor's office. I was going to go to the emergency room right after. And I went in there. And they had not changed the sign. And it was a health food store. And I told her I was having asthma trouble. And she showed me what to get. And it was this. And it worked. It worked. I took 4 of them under my tongue, and I could breathe. And I don't know what it is, but it says on the bottle it's for nausea and vomiting or teething, but it helped me breathe. I don't know what it was in it, but it helped me breathe. So that's and a lot of my stuff I get really cheap. You can order on it's called Vitacost.com. Vitacost.com, yeah, and that's where you can get a lot of stuff that's natural and very cheap, very reasonable priced. Then there's cranberry tablets. Okay, those are good to have because if you might not have cranberry juice around, and if somebody gets a urinary tract infection, that can be very serious if you don't take care of it. So those are good to have on hand. Sterile water. Sterilized water, because not just spring water or bottled water, but what if you have to wash a wound and you can't, you have to be able to sterilize it. What if you can't get sterile water? So I canned some water off. I know some people might think that's weird, but I did. I canned it off, sterilized it for emergency purposes. Ace bandages, okay? If you have to wrap up a sprain or any kind of thing like that, those are good to have. Echinacea capsules, tea or tincture. I used to make my own echinacea tincture. This will help boost your immune system if someone is sick, and it's just really good for you. A case of essential oils that are therapeutic grade and medicinal. These can be used for many types of illnesses and making salves. I think it's a great idea if you can get them. I know some places are very expensive. There is websites, Herbco, bulk apothecary. You have to get larger amounts, but you can get them a lot cheaper. And they are therapeutic, 100% pure therapeutic grade. They have to be. So read your oils, because some of them, essential oils you might buy, are not full. They're not 100%. They're mixed with carrier oil, so you have to beware of that. But anyways, that's where I get mine, bulk apothecary. And then between my school too, I got a lot of my herbs there too. Oils, I mean, and herbs. So, let's see. When I had my store was when I found out about bulk apothecary, because it was cheaper, I guess, when you're buying in large volume. Anyways, let's see. So the essential oils, you can make salves, you can make, oh my God, so many things with them for healing and medicine. All right, let's see. Beeswax and carrier oils, those are important to have. Almond oil, avocado oil, you can use olive oil. So many different types of oils that you can mix with the beeswax to make salves. And you can look up recipes on YouTube on how to make salves, different things. Don't be afraid to research and look on YouTube. Look up things so you can learn. He said, study to show yourself approved. Okay, you'll need sterile tweezers, scissors, and needles, just in case. And unflavored dental floss. And the dental floss, I mean, what if you're somewhere and somebody goes into labor and they're having a baby? When my dog had puppies, I looked it up when she was going to have puppies, and they said to use dental floss if they don't take care of the umbilical cord. You can use dental floss and tie it off. So I know it sounds crazy, but in an emergency situation, you don't know what you're going to need. So it's good to have those things. You might think, well, there's nobody around me, but what if somebody shows up at your door? I mean, Jesus, they went into labor, there was no room in the inn. But I mean, you know, you never know in a situation where you're going to be or what's going to happen. And it's more, I'm not saying it's a scare tactic, but the things that are happening in the world today, it's better to be prepared. Then this way, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be concerned. You know, you got everything under control. You got your stuff, and you'll be able to help somebody. Let's see. Okay, scissors to cut any gauze or any sterile stuff. You have to have those things. Arm sling, crutches, or a cane. Like, if you know somebody who used to have crutches, they don't want them, save them, because if you don't know if you're going to need them for some emergency in the future, or a sling for your arm. Like I had tennis elbow one year, and I saved the sling because you don't need to go out and buy another one. I mean, if somebody might hurt their arm or anything, it's good to have those things on hand. So those are things like that, or a cane. Let's see. And knowledge, I believe, is the most important thing. You can have all the stuff in the kit, but without knowledge, it's not going to do you much good. So books are good. Get as many books as you can on natural medicines and things. And let's see. One of the things is knowing if someone is severely dehydrated. Learn the signs of dehydration. And a lot of people don't realize this. When my daughter was younger, she used to get sick a lot. She'd miss meals, and she used to throw up, and she couldn't eat. And it's really scared me. And she got so dehydrated one time. I was like, I didn't know what to do. And I was like, I was going to take her to an emergency room, but I was so scared. She was so dehydrated. She was like limp. And I remember reading a thing about how if you have fluoride in your water, how it's not good for you. And that if you have to take a shower, every time you shower, you're absorbing up to 8 glasses of water. your body. So I think that's where they got the 8 glasses of water you're supposed to drink a day. But if you're showering, you're getting a lot of that water too. But if you're showering in city water, that's not good. But we have spring water, and the Lord brought that to my mind when I was praying for her. So I was nervous. I'm like, should I go to the hospital? I didn't know what to do. And he said, put her in the tub. She'll absorb the water and rehydrate. And I did, and she started playing in there, and she come out of there like nothing. My husband was like, if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I would have never believed it, but she did. And then every time, if my kids in the future, when they got sick, this was back when they were little before I studied all this stuff, and they had anything like that, I'd put them right in the tub, and they come right out of it. So that's a good thing to learn before you go and get IVs. You know, put them in the tub, and they'll come right out of it. If they don't, you know, then that's different. You take them, but try that when they get that, if they ever get a bug in their, you know, stuff. Also with elderly or anybody that's really too sick to get in the tub, you can put a foot bath of water on their feet, and you can put some of these herbs and essential oils that are for therapeutic for that area. So study up on your oils. And you could, it's called wicking, and they can put their feet in that, and that'll absorb those nutrients and herbs into their body that way, and it'll help hydrate them if they're that sick that they can't get into a tub or anything like that, or they can't take medicines or oils. Some of the oils you can put in there. Let's see, what else did I have? Let's see. Also, okay, I just ordered these because I have some friends that I talk to, well, I just kind of converse with once in a while. But anyways, from California, my brother-in-law lives in California, and they've had the fires, and it's been so bad they can't breathe, and you just don't know what's going to happen. So I recommend you get those masks for preventative, because they've had so many fires everywhere, and maybe you don't live in an area where that, but you don't know what you might need it for. So I just think it's a good idea to have, especially if there's, you know, like some of those places where they had earthquakes and they had to have, you know, to breathe because of all the, you know, people that got hurt and stuff like that. It's not good. It's not good. Anyways, I don't want to get into that, but it's just good to have the masks, okay? Another thing is willow bark can be used for pain in an emergency. If you're somewhere hiking and you're out in the woods and somebody's in a lot of pain, or you don't have no way to get some medicine, willow bark is what they actually use to make aspirin, and it is for pain. The Indians used to chew on just a branch of it, or you can make just a little amount, and it will get rid of pain and help. So willow bark from the willow tree, okay? And pine needles, pine needle tea, pine trees, you can make a tea, and it's good for destroying worms or what do you call it, parasites, and it's also full of vitamin C and also many other things. There's a video I made on one of my other channels about pine, and I did it for one of my classes, and all the information about pine and what it's good for is on there, so you can check that out. Let's see. Then the poplar tree is also known as the Balm of Gilead, and that has been, you can use that in a tea or a tincture or make a salve, and that's really good for pain and joint pain and sicknesses. And the birch tree is the one that looks like white bark, and its leaf looks like it's papery. Those leaves, the birch leaves, that's also where the chaga comes off of the birch tree. Or the small branches, you can make a tea, and it's so good for you. It's good, it's high in vitamin C and all kinds of vitamins, so you can look that up too. So those are things that if you don't have anything and you have to use what you have in your yard or in the area, if you're out hiking or something, or you're stranded somewhere, those are things that you should know. And I think the pine needle tea was what the Indians taught the pilgrims, because they were dying of scurvy, because they didn't know. In the wintertime, they couldn't get vitamin C, and they didn't know. And the Indians taught them about the pine needle tea, and that gave them the vitamin C because it's very high, so they got better. I also recommend that you take a CPR or first aid course. Both is actually a good thing, because if you're going to be prepared for emergencies or anything like that, I think it's just smart to be prepared in any situation. Even if nothing ever happens and you don't need it, that's awesome. But it's better to be prepared, than not be, okay? So, in addition, I forgot to mention that Mullion Herb, okay? Mullion grows by railroad tracks and gravelly roads, kind of like a furry leaf. You can look it up on YouTube or just Google it and see what it looks like, the pictures and images. Make sure you get the right one. but the leaf is known as, it's the strongest pain medicine. It's the strongest for pain if you make it in a tincture form, but it's not addictive. So it's considered like a narcotic, but it's not addictive, and it's not toxic. And it's a herb, Mullion Herb. And it's very good for asthma. You can make a tea with it, and it's good for asthma. I used to use it all the time years ago. I don't really have problems with asthma anymore, but these are what I used in the past when I had it. Also, they make little yellow flowers that come out on the mullion when it's long, like I don't know how to explain it. But anyways, the little yellow flowers, if you pick them and put them in oil and steep them, leave them in oil like a couple of weeks, and that'll make a nice, I probably wouldn't use olive oil because that gets rancid more faster. Maybe an almond oil or something like that. Steep it in that, and then put them in a little jar with a dropper, and if you get an earache or anything like that, it works really good for earaches. My son woke up one night with a bad earache, really so much pain, and I didn't know what to do, and then I remembered I had the mullion oil, and I stuck a Q-tip in it, and then I prayed over the oil, and I dropped it in his ear, and instantly he had no more pain. So whether it was the prayer or the oil, but it worked, and he had no pain and went right back to bed. Never had a problem the next day either. So Mullion Herb is very good. It's a strong pain reliever, and it can be used in a tea or tincture, and it's great for asthma. Okay, so another thing is activated charcoal, or ipecac. If there's an emergency and somebody eats something poison, you have to get that out of your system right away, or toxin. Any kind of toxins is good. You know, it's good for it because it'll help get those poisons out of your system. Another thing, I don't know, reflexology chart. Now, a lot of people, even myself, when I first started learning about it, I thought it was kind of not crock of I thought it was a crock of bull. But as I studied it and found out, it really does work, because when my daughter was having trouble with adrenal fatigue, and I said, well, let's try the reflexology and see if that's where. And right when I touched that one spot where the adrenals were, it was where she had pain. So it was confirmed by that. So it does work. It does work. And you can look up charts online, and you should be able to get a copy of them or print them. There's some printable ones or whatever. Or just save it to your computer so you can have it and know what to do. So in an emergency, you know those parts of the body where you can check to see what's wrong, because a lot of times a doctor, there's no way to test for that, for adrenals. But with this reflexology, there is. So just because they don't know how to do it doesn't mean it's not possibly able to be checked for everything from every part of your body. But it's pretty cool. So that's something I think that would be a good idea to have on there. But that's what I have on my list for now. I'm sure I'm missing some things, but that's what I have for now, and I think it's good for anyone. I'm sorry this video is so long. Like I said before, just watch half of it, part of it, whatever. But anyways, we thank you for watching. I pray that you all stay healthy and well. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and have a blessed day. We'll leave some information in the links below if you'd like to help support this channel in any way. We have a PayPal and a Patreon account. So anyways, stay healthy, stay prepared, and God bless. I forgot to mention, okay, if you have any suggestions or something I forgot to put on there, put it in the comments below, because you'll be helping other people too. So we all put our information together, and we'll all be prepared. Okay, thank you. Have a blessed day. I just want to tell you, I know this video is long, but it has a lot of vital information. So if you don't have time to watch the whole thing, just watch it in sections of it, and then maybe another day, and get your notepad out. You want to get a notepad out, and you want to take notes, because this is a very good list for prepping for any kind of emergency kit. And I'm sure you have some things that I don't know about, so leave that in the comments below. But if you don't have time to watch this whole video, just like I said, watch 10-15 minutes, whatever you can, and then just go back to it day by day or whatever when you have time. So